It's time to hit the pick.
Touchdown!
Sports betting, fantasy football, and the latest NFL news.
What do you think?
Featuring Loud Esmond and Christian Giordani. Bet on us to make you a better bettor.
What?
It's time to hit the pick.
All right, no Christian Giordani tonight because he is busy. But fortunately, Loud Esmond is here, and I'm very fortunate to have Sniper West coming all the way to us from Las Vegas, which is only like 2 hours away from KMET. I used to go to Vegas all the time when I was there in the Inland Empire. I get there for trade shows 2 or 3 times a year now, since I'm up here in the Pacific Northwest. But let's talk some betting right off the top of the show. UFL about to go off. You've got the first game of the weekend with the terrible Brahmas facing the division-leading DC Defenders, who I still can't believe they've only lost 1 game. They just don't look that good to me. But, okay, I mean, you are what your record says you are, right? So the Brahmas have scored a total of 6 points in the past 2 games. Okay, let's be clear.
Wow.
They managed a field goal in each of the last 2 games. That is after they jumped up out of nowhere and beat the Birmingham Stallions 3 weeks ago, which, by the way, I had the Showboats as a dog at that time. Dogs were winning 2 weeks ago 80% of the time in the UFL this year, covering, and a lot of outright wins. Last week, it went more chalky. It went 3 favorites and 1 dog, and the dog covered. It did not win. And the overs and unders have flipped, where the unders were ruling the early part of the season. And I told everybody, start watching week 3 or 4. We're going to start hitting the overs. And then the overs dominated. Now, last week, you had 2 overs and 2 unders, so you got split. I went 3-1 with my picks on the weekend. Tonight, this game, this opened -6.5 for the Defenders. And that's what I told everybody early in the week, take the -6.5. It's now up to +9 or 10. That's too many points for me. I can't recommend it either way because I don't trust the Brahmas at all right now, but I don't trust the Defenders that much either. But over 37 points, yeah, the Defenders' defense is not really that defensive. They're middle of the road. The Brahmas, I can't believe that they're only going to score 3 points again. I think the Defenders are good for 30 points in this game. If you get a touchdown and a field goal out of the Brahmas, I think you're over here. So that's the first UFL game of the weekend, which is just about to kick off. All right, Sniper West, any comments or just want to move on to me gloating about the Kentucky Derby last week?
No, I want to hear about the Derby. Oh, I'll tell you what, man. There's nothing like being in a sports book for the Kentucky Derby. They call it the greatest 2 minutes in sports, but obviously they didn't know anything about my honeymoon night because that might have been the greatest 2 minutes of her life. But no, I'm over here at in Vegas. I went to the South Point and I was in the book watching some baseball and stuff. And I heard a gigantic roar as soon as the race went off, and I went over there. And let me tell you something: you will never see a group of 200 men completely lose their minds and throw their hats up in the air for 2 minutes like I did. It was unbelievable. I wish I would have taken video and sent it to you.
Have you ever been to live horse racing, big time live horse racing?
I have been to one of your favorite places in the world, Santa Anita, a couple times. And actually, you know what? I went to Hollywood Park before they closed it down and tore it down over there by off the 405.
Hollywood Park was nice, but Santa Anita. Santa Anita,
it's beautiful, absolutely. And there's nothing like betting on the horses while you're there.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you've never gone, and you're so fortunate there in Southern California because Santa Anita, I think is the most beautiful horse track in the world. I mean, honestly, on a spring day with the mountains in the background, I don't know if there's a better place. That's horse racing heaven. I mean, you can tell me Churchill Downs. Okay, I'm sorry. It's in Kentucky. Okay? Churchill Downs. Yeah. You don't have the views. You don't have the weather like you have in Southern California. Santa Anita is gorgeous. And what is the name of the San Diego track? It's escaping me.
Del Mar.
Del Mar. You know, Del Mar's okay, but it's nothing compared to Santa Anita.
Yeah.
I mean, Santa Anita is you know, if Del Mar is a church to horse racing, Santa Anita is a cathedral.
Yeah, well, they say that about the Rose Bowl too, but that's right there down the street. It's almost the same setting, right? The mountains in the background,
Yeah.
It's the same exact mountains.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so to the Derby, I had my thing on betting horses is I hate betting favorites, and I don't bet long shots. Okay, I'm looking for a horse somewhere between 10-1 and 20 to 30 to 1 who's got a realistic chance of winning. And then I could bet on 3, 4, or 5 horses. And if one of them comes in, if I have a minimum of 10-1 odds and I get one of them to come in, well, then if it's the low odds one, I might cover a little bit and win a little bit. If I get somebody at 20-1 or 25 or 30, well, I'm buying everybody a steak dinner that night, right? So that's the way I do it. Everybody has their own system. I just find it dull and not worth the odds to bet on favorites because favorites only win 30% of the time. So one of my 5 was Sovereignty, who at the time I took Sovereignty was 24-1. Sovereignty went off at 20-1 and won the race.
Yeah.
So happy about that. But I don't do a lot of horse handicapping because not a lot of people follow it very closely. Frankly, it's kind of dying in the United States. A lot of tracks have closed. There's so much other betting that's available, and it's a double-edged sword. I mean, you and me, degenerates like us that like to gamble on just about every sport, including pig racing. You know, and I've been one to be up at 2 o'clock in the morning and betting on horse racing in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Because the opportunities are, I mean, if you want to bet on horse racing, you can do it 24/7, 365.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I mean, I've had those degenerate nights too where I've tipped back, a few too many, and I started betting some Australian ponies, and I'm like, man, I must really be drunk because they're running the wrong way. They're running a different direction on the track.
Right.
I guess the water in the toilet is not the only thing that goes the other way.
Yeah.
I guess that applies to horse racing in the Southern Hemisphere as well.
Yeah. Well, all right. So, that was great. Let's talk about, 2 big playoffs happening right now, the NBA and the NHL. I don't do the NBA. I'm going to leave that to you, but I will say in the NHL so far, man, if you have bet on the plus money teams, you're killing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's been crazy. Every plus money team, it seems like, is winning.
Yeah.
The Florida Panthers went down 2-0, and they're struggling again tonight. The Vegas Golden Knights, my team, at home, losing both at home as prohibitive favorites to the Oilers. They're down 2-0. It's just been a very, like I said, if you've been on the plus money teams, you are killing it in the NHL. And it's kind of true in the NBA too. I mean, look at the crazy comebacks of the Knicks. What could you have gotten the Knicks on when they were down by 20 in live betting? Plus 600?
Yeah, they said I heard a statistic. I'm probably going to screw it up, but they said that if you would have bet on the Knicks when they were down 20, to all the other road teams that won, it would have been like something like $100 would have made you over $1 million.
Oh my God! Wow. I mean, as a degenerate sports gambler, I hear things like that, and I go, man, I'm going to look for that team that's down 20 points early in the game. As a matter of fact, I did not bet on the Florida Panthers Leafs game because there was no value betting on the Panthers. And I wasn't going to take the Leafs to win a third game on the Panthers home ice. That was just not doable for me.
Yeah.
So the Leafs thankfully scored first. So then I jumped on Florida, only minus 115, down 1 goal. And now Florida has scored, and then the Leafs scored again. So it's 2-1. But I like how the Panthers look in this game. But my God, I said the Panthers were the hottest team in the NHL after they nearly swept the Lightning.
Yeah,
And then they have just barfed all over themselves early in the series.
that's true. There's been some fishy lines. I was saying this on the Hit the Pick show on Wednesday. If you go back to Tuesday, the first game between Carolina and Washington, it finished 2-1. But Washington, they were at home. They were next to the Jets. They were arguably the best team in the NHL this year, and they closed as a dog. And I couldn't figure it out. They didn't have very many injuries. Same thing with Edmonton, game 1. They closed at plus 115 as a dog. They won, right? You move on to Wednesday. Delano and I were talking about this. Florida, big favorite in Toronto. Actually, both those games in Toronto, Florida was a favorite, which I could not figure out. And what happens? Toronto wins both games. And, Dallas and Winnipeg. Winnipeg, actually, what was funny with that, Dallas was the favorite. They were minus 120, and I couldn't figure it out because Winnipeg was like plus 100 in game 1. But Winnipeg was probably the best team in the league. They were number 1 in defense. They were number 2 in scoring. They were number 3 on the power play, something like that. They were amazing. And they're at home in a game 1 in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and they're a dog in game 1. I couldn't figure it out. And go figure, the Stars won that game. So I will say tread lightly. In the NHL, I was, unlike you, I was on the Panthers. I'm on the Panthers puck line tonight, minus a goal and a half. And granted, they could still come back. Who knows? Maybe they'll come back and win. But fishy lines. I have a feeling sometimes the odds makers do that. They go fishing. They put some bait on a hook and they throw it out there in the river and they watch the public just eat it up. So fishy lines in the NHL, and the NBA has just been very tough to figure out. If you're betting favorites, you're getting crushed. A lot of interesting stuff going on this playoffs for sure.
Yeah, again, it's very strange to see the dogs in playoffs just killing it like this. But when it comes to the NHL, I've got a guy that I know. I don't know him well. We work together sometimes. Who played in the NHL for a decade, mostly with the Ducks, and I asked him when the second round of the playoffs started, who do you like? And he said, this is a complete toss-up this year. He said, it's anybody's cup. Any of these teams could win. Any of these teams could lose. So, there's just not, I guess, for somebody who knows the NHL really well, to say that there's, really nobody that he saw an advantage for is telling, given what's going on.
Maybe this could be the year, though. It could be the year that the Canadiens, not the Montreal Canadiens, but all of Canada actually gets their Stanley Cup. I don't think they've won the Cup. Is it 93, the Canadiens? I think that's the last team.
Oh, it's got to be almost 40 years.
Yeah, I think 93, the Canadiens beat the Kings. I'm like 90% sure.
All right, so 30 years.
Yeah. So, and it's their sport, it's kind of like the USA losing in Olympic basketball.
Right. Over and over and over and over again. All right. So who is there anybody you like in any of these NBA games this weekend?
Yeah. I got thoughts. We don't have enough time in the show, but I can talk about any game. If we just talk about tonight's games, I'll just throw out who I like real quick. So maybe the public can, or whoever's listening can get some bets in. I'll do some further analysis on tomorrow's games. I do like the Jets tonight. I think they bounce back. I really like the Jets a lot tonight. They lost game 1. They can't go back down to Dallas game 2. I mentioned before. In fact, I'm gonna pull up the statistics for the season right now while I have it here. Winnipeg, top 3 in scoring, 3.35 goals a game in the regular season. Number 1 defense in the NHL, only allowed 2.32 goals per game. Number 1 on the power play. They had the best power play. And not only that, they were number 1 in money. So if you just bet on the Winnipeg Jets, $100 or to win 100, not $100, but to win 100 every single game, you would have made $1,380, which is right behind the Washington Capitals. So the numbers point to the Jets. I can't believe the Jets lost game one, although I will say the third period, the Jets were just peppering the net. I'm surprised that they didn't tie the game, but really like the Jets tonight. As it relates to, I do like I like the Thunder tonight too when it comes to basketball. I just think that, they found the magic elixir in game two. Obviously, they lost by 1 in game one, but they came out like, Ghostbusters, and they took care of the Ghost, and they won by a lot of points. It was pretty embarrassing for Denver, and I think they're going to see more of the same tonight. As it relates to tomorrow, I like the Timberwolves over the Warriors again. So obviously embarrassing loss game one in Minnesota, but they go to, San Francisco here. They face the Warriors.
And they lost when the Warriors lost one of their best players.
Yeah, Steph was out. So, here's the deal though. So the Warriors, they acquired Jimmy Butler from the Heat midseason. And when they did, from that point, they were the best defense in the NBA. But Steph has a lot to do with that defense. Steph is the greatest three-point shooter in the history of the NBA. But he's a great defensive player, too. He plays a big part on that defense, and without him, they're a little bit suspect on defense, which is why they gave up 117 to the Timberwolves in game two and lost. I think we see more of the same. I'm going to lay the 5 with the Timberwolves tomorrow. The other NBA game, I like the Knicks. Who would have thought the Knicks are up to? Boston, that was embarrassing. I think they're 25 of 100. They're shooting 25% from three. And that's their game, is just to shoot threes and shoot threes and shoot threes, and they just can't make them. And it's killing them right now. I heard Spike Lee on an interview today, and he's just gloating because he's a huge Knicks fan. But I like the Knicks. They're catching 5.5. They're back at home, and they just beat Boston 2 games in a row in Boston. So I got to take the points. I don't see. Right. Yeah. I don't see how you can not take the points here. Even if Boston gets a win, I don't think they win by 6 or more. Maybe they do. Maybe I'm wrong, but I've been wrong. I took Boston game 1 and game 2, so I've been wrong twice already. So who knows? I like the Capitals and Hurricanes under 5.5 goals tomorrow. Both games have gone under in that series so far. Carolina, they played notoriously good defense at home. They were 35-47 and 7-2 the under this year at home. And the total has gone under in 5 of the Capitals' last 7 games in general. So they've been playing to the under. As it relates to the Diamond, I like the Dodgers tonight. I like the Dodgers tomorrow. This is not because I'm originally from LA. It's just I've looked at the matchups. As far as tonight,
well, you are wearing a Dodgers hat.
I am, and I am from actually Ventura County is where I hail from. But we get Sasaki tonight. First of all, the Dodgers got spanked around last night. They lost 5-3, but they were down 5-0 the whole game. So, and they don't lose often. So they're going to want to bounce back. Sasaki, he's a pretty decent pitcher. Like the Dodgers tonight. Like the Dodgers tomorrow, we get Dustin May, or as some people call him, Carrot Top. I don't know if you know who that is.
Yeah.
But he looks just like Carrot Top, who actually performs right here at the Luxor. In fact, my buddy Joe D'Amico, he knows him. He said he's going to introduce me, which would be entertaining. I never thought I'd meet.
You gotta get Carrot Top on the Founders Show.
I'm gonna see him. I'm gonna be like, hey, it's Dustin May. But anyway, Dustin May is a good pitcher. He's facing Corbin Burns tomorrow, and Corbin's a really good pitcher too. But you're getting the Dodgers at -115. You're probably not gonna get the Dodgers at -115, maybe like 5 times the whole season. So just based on principle, you kind of have to take them, right? And they have the better bullpen too. The Diamondbacks bullpen is not all that good. And I do like the one other play tomorrow night. I like the Seattle Mariners up there in Washington. Wow. So this guy named Logan Evans is pitching for the Mariners tomorrow. It's his 3rd start. They just brought him up from AAA Tacoma, of all places, a place that you and I are familiar with as well. He has 2 starts on the year. He's pitched very well. He just had 1 bad inning. He gave up 6 runs in 1 inning. But other than that, he was lights out. And he's got great stuff. And, Bowden Francis, he's pitching for the Jays. He's been struggling. The Jays in general, they have the 4th highest payroll in baseball, and they're 17-20. And did you know what their record was last year? At this very time, it was 17-20, and they had the 4th highest payroll in baseball. Same exact batting averages. Like this team is the same team as it was last year. Same record, same batting average, same payroll. It's just they can't get past themselves. You know what I mean? So give me the Mariners tomorrow night in the Pacific Northwest.
I'll finish up the UFL stuff that I've got here. So first game tonight, just a quick in-game update. Both teams have had the ball once. Both teams kind of moved it up to around the 50-yard line and then stalled. So that's just what I need when I bet on the overs, both teams to just kind of push the ball around and not really get anything done. Saturday, you have my favorite team to win the championship right now in the UFL, the Michigan Panthers. I love how they look on the field. They're taking on the Arlington Renegades. And as much as I love how they look in terms of the Panthers, the stats tell the same story. They're leading the league in scoring. They're second on defense. They've had solid QB play from one QB all season, which is unusual in the UFL right now because most teams have played 2, maybe 3 quarterbacks. They've got a great battering ram running back in Toa Toa. It's kind of a poor man's beast mode. And they've got 2 solid receiving options in Malik Turner and COC Mariner. Now, the Arlington Renegades have, a solid quarterback in Luis Perez, but the offense is boring. It's led by the run. It's dull to watch. They're middling in the league, about 4th in the league per scoring per game. But their defense is stout, ranks 1st in yards allowed per game. The Panthers were a slight favorite to open at -1, and I said take them then, and I took them at -2.5 as well. So I'm on them -1 and -2.5. The total is 43.5, and because both teams can play defense, I am not going to touch that. Sunday early game, Roughneck Stallions. It may sound like a mismatch, but the stats say otherwise. The Stallions rank 5th in scoring. The Roughnecks at 6th. They're not separated by more than 2 points. The Stallions rank 6th in defense. The Roughnecks 7th. They're separated by about 20 yards per game. So again, not a big difference. Now, the Stallions lead the league in red zone defense, allowing an average of about 8 points per game scored in the red zone. They did really well against the Michigan Panthers, allowing 9 points last week, and against the Houston Roughnecks the week before, allowing 10 points in the red zone. That's an advantage for them. But the Roughnecks' red zone scoring is 58%. The Stallions' scoring in the red zone is at 45%. And most teams in the league are below 40. So the Roughnecks are actually the second best red zone scoring team in the league behind just the Michigan Panthers. Another reason why I like the Panthers. They get in the red zone, they score touchdowns 70% of the time. So, with all the uncertainty around the QB position for the Stallions and the Roughnecks looking much better in this part of the season, I am on the Roughnecks plus what is now 8.5. Sunday late game, Battlehawks Showboats. QB Max Duggan, who you might remember from TCU, he's provided the spark for the Battlehawks on offense. He has crushed his prop bet running totals in 2 games in a row. And using his ability, he might be the best prop bet in the UFL right now. I think he's had 70 and 90 rushing yards in the past 2 games. And one game he was 24.5 yards over. In the other game, it was 28.5 yards or over. And he just blew it away. The Battlehawks are scoring 4 more points per game with him in the lineup than other quarterbacks earlier in the year. They're 4-2, looking to keep pace with the Defenders, who lead the division. The Showboats are 1-5. Unless something bizarre happens, their season's already over. The Battlehawks are the better team in this one. I see them covering -4, -5 in this, depending on where you get it. So that's your UFL betting report, Sniper Wes.
There we go. Hey, it's MASL, UFL. It's like my old buddy says. He said, hey, you don't have to like the sport. Do you like money? It's kind of like when I talked to Tom. I'm like, look, I know nothing about NASCAR, but I like money, so I'll take your play.
Yeah. I mean, if he's going to hit 100-1, 200-1 play in NASCAR, I'm tailing. It's like, and look, I'm a football guy, right? I love football. So UFL football is like gas station pizza. When it's 2:00 in the morning and it's your only option, it tastes pretty good.
It does. Well, that's usually because you've been up to shenanigans the whole night, but it still tastes pretty good.
Yeah, and so, I mean, UFL football, it's springtime. There's no other football. Canadian football doesn't start till June 5th. So if you're going to give me some football to watch on a Friday night and a Saturday or Sunday afternoon, yeah, I'll have it on and I'll watch it and I'll follow it, and I'm going to try and make some money betting on it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's kind of like minor league baseball, so to speak. You know, it's just a way for these GMs to keep an eye on certain players, and maybe they bring them in to be a backup quarterback in the NFL. Maybe Duggan can be a third stringer on the Jaguars.
Well, he was drafted by the Chargers, and he didn't stick.
Yeah.
And honestly, I forget the game, but he gave one of the greatest single game performances of college quarterback I've ever seen. And I forget who they were playing. It was obviously not in the national championship game because that did not go well. But it was in another game late in the season, and he was absolutely fantastic. And I think he's just a great character guy. But, unfortunately, the good guys don't always win. Derek Carr,
1 minute.
fantastic individual. I think his career is over.
Yeah.
Tom Brady is a jerk. But guess what? He's the greatest quarterback of all time, right there with Joe Montana. But then you can say, Aaron Rodgers is also a jerk, and thank God his career is over. I don't think he's going to. I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers are tanking.
Nah, I think he's going to wind up in Pittsburgh. I think that he doesn't want to go to minicamp, just like he never wants to go to minicamp. So I think he'll be in for, August 1st for regular training camp and for the preseason because he needs to.
Then why did they trade Pickens?
That's a good point. But I don't know. From all the shows I listen to, all the podcasts I listen to, it's overwhelmingly that that's where he's going to go. So it's just what I'm hearing.
David Delano tells us he tuned in just in time for the UFL bangers. So thank you, David. All right. It's been hitthepick.com, hitthepick.com. Go to hitthepick.com. Get all kinds of free betting advice and even stuff you can pay for. Wes, thanks for being here.